Alright guys, welcome to MMA on Wheels, and today we are going to be discussing the main event and actually the whole card for UFC 312. And yes, I do still have my Christmas decorations here. But that's not important, guys. What's important is that I have my magical notebook where I write down every single fight and my predictions. And let's see if I got them correctly. We are going to go through the early prelims and the main card. We are not going to comment on most of the fights, just gonna give you my prediction. But let's get going. So the early prelims, guys. Have everything right here. We have Quillan Saukil versus Anshu Jubli. It's gonna be a knockout. Quillan is going to knock out Anshu in the first round. Total dominance. That's actually lightweight, I forgot to mention. Then we move on to the welterweight. We have Jonathan Mikhalev, not really sure, versus Kevin Jousset. In my opinion, it's going to be either a dominant decision for Kevin or he's going to win via TKO in the second round. I'm gonna go with the TKO, but we can have this dominant decision in mind. Then we move on to Cody Steele versus Zhurong at lightweight. Listen, guys. When it comes to Zhurong, I always say that Zhu is going to win. Even if I feel that he's not going to win, I want this guy to win. I want him to climb the ladder. I want him to fight in the top 10 and so on. Is he going to win? Probably not. Probably not. In my opinion, look at these guys. Zhurong has 25 wins, 6 losses. Then we have Cody, who only has 7 wins, 7 fights. And in my opinion, the UFC has set up this fight in order for Cody to get a couple of wins and to introduce him to these top 15 guys, top 10 guys, and so on. So, the heart says Zhurong, the brain says Cody. It's probably going to be a really competitive stand-up fight. And we can expect a knockout. Or it's going to be a really, really bloody decision. But it's going to be entertaining. That's what's important. As I said, brain says Cody, heart says Zhurong. Moving on, guys. That was actually the early prelims. Quite a short prelims. Couple of fights, like 3 fights. That's not really enough, in my opinion. But we had some fights cancelled. For example, who was it? I think it was Jimmy Crute who was supposed to fight someone else. Then he had to fight with Bellator and so on. So yeah, guys, a couple of fights were cancelled. A couple of fights were changed. So it is what it is. We move on to the prelims. We have a really interesting fight, and it's probably, although it's the first fight of the prelims, it's probably the one fight that people want to watch. We have Tupuria's brother, Alexander Tupuria, versus someone from Volkanovski's team, and that's Kobe Tiknesi. Alright, guys, who cares? Who cares? What's important here is that those two have a really, really interesting history with their teammates / brother. And when it comes to their fighting styles, we know that Alexander can mix it up. He has TKO wins, he can stand, he can bang, he can also submit you if he wants to. He's a bit shorter than the other Tupuria. What's really interesting, they both have those Conor McGregor type of behavior, Conor McGregor type of tattoos and style and so on. So that's really, really fun. We might be having 2 Conor McGregors at bantamweight, so that's interesting, unless Ilya decides to move up and fight Islam Makhachev. Anyways, guys, Kobe 7-0, and then we have Alexandre 5-1. I think the one loss was in 2015, beginning of his MMA pro career, and not really sure if it was a decision or TKO. I believe it might have been a KO, to be honest, guys. Anyways, a couple of fights have passed since then. He has improved. His brother is the champion in that division. It's going to be interesting. The reach advantage, the height advantage goes to Kobe. I believe the wrestling and grappling advantage is going to go to Alexander, and the striking is going to go to Kobe. The age, I believe that equal of age 25 or something. No, actually, Kobe is a bit younger, and then the Topuria brother is born in 96, so this makes him 28, I believe. Or he was 28. I think his birthday is in January. Anyways, guys, we can expect a TKO in the second round, in my opinion, and it's going to go to Kobe, which is going to make Ilia Topuria kinda angry, and it's really good for Volk. Volk is going to be there. He can say, hey, your brother lost to my teammate, we must fight again, and so on. So, let's see. But I'm predicting the TKO win for Kobe. I don't think Alexander Topuria has the experience, because if you look at his opponents, one of them had like 19 or 18 losses. That's just too much, guys. Then you had someone with like 2 wins and 9 losses. Wow. Anyways, guys, I'm predicting that it's going to be a really competitive first round, and then Topuria is going to try to grapple a little bit, because he will be having hard time dealing with the range, and then he's going to get knocked out. Moving on, guys, we have Van Kronk versus Bruno Brazil. Van Kronk is... We had the Joker and Batman, to be honest, on the weightings. That was really funny. But Van Kronk is the person who defeated Valentina Shevchenko in a kickboxing match, which is, guys, really, really impressive, because Valentina, she's amazing at MMA, she was amazing at kickboxing, and so on. Van Kronk lost her last fight, which... tough luck, I might say, but this fight might be interesting. We might actually see a really interesting fight. Not really sure who's going to win. I'm always rooting for the Chinese people, but I also like the Brazilians. Brazilians can be a bit reckless, so to say, but so do the Chinese. I'm going to go... We are not going to get a decision here, guys. I'm going to go for Bruno Brazil via submission in the maybe first or third round. The second round is going to be quite passive, in my opinion, for both of those ladies. Anyways, moving on to lightweight, Tom Nolan versus Vyacheslav Borchev. What can I say, guys? I think that this fight is made for Tom Nolan. I believe that Vyacheslav is the perfect opponent for him, and I believe that Tom Nolan is going to get a decision win here fairly easily. Moving on to featherweight, we have Jack Jenkins, who actually got rid of the mullet, which is a bad decision in my opinion. The mullet gave him aura points, versus Gabriel... What was his name? Sanchez? Something like this. Sanfes. Anyways, guys, Jack is going to stop him in the second round. I believe it's going to be a knockout. It's going to be impressive. It's going to be really, really nice. Moving on to the main card, guys. That's an interesting fight at welterweight. We have Jake Matthews, who is 30 years old with 20 wins and 7 losses, versus Francisco Prado with 12 wins, 2 losses, and he's 22. So we have someone who is quite young and doesn't really have that much experience here. But in my opinion, it's going to be a really close fight, guys. So Jake Matthews might have the reach advantage, but I believe that Prado will have the more power. I believe that Prado is going to be more explosive here. And in my opinion, if Prado gets really close, he can knock out Jake Matthews. And I don't think that this fight is going to be 3 rounds. It's going to be an early finish, maybe in the last minute of the first round, something like this, guys. And don't get me wrong, both of these guys can finish the fight, but I'm going to go with Francisco Prado. Moving on, light heavyweight, we have Jimmy Crute, 28, versus Rodolfo Bellato, 29. Quite similar records, guys. 12 wins for Jimmy, 12 wins for Bellato, 4 losses for Jimmy, 2 losses for Bellato. What concerns me here, guys? So let's talk about the reach and height advantage. They go to Rodolfo Bellato. He's like 6'3", Jimmy Crute is 6'2", maybe 6'1.5", something like this. The reach advantage is going to Bellato. He needs to keep the distance. He needs to use his reach advantage because I believe he has a couple of centimeters of reach advantage. Anyways, guys, we have Jimmy Crute, who came to the UFC as a prospect, and then something happened, guys, and he didn't really deliver, to be honest. So he didn't fight in 2024, he fought in 2023 and lost to Manifield via submission. Then he didn't fight in 2022, he lost 2 times in 2021, one a KO loss against Jamaha, how to say Hill, and one from Anthony Smith. This was back when Anthony Smith was actually good. He's not bad today. He's a good fighter. But back then he was able to knock out everyone. So, what's really interesting though, is that Jimmy Crute has a submission win over Paul Craig, the Scotsman Paul Craig. So, guys, that's a really interesting case here. We have Rodolfo Bellato with 11 out of his 12 wins being a finish, and then we have Jimmy Crute. In my opinion, guys, Rodolfo has the chance to enter UFC with a huge win here. And I have said here Jimmy shocks the world because I believe that Rodolfo Bellato is going to beat him, but we have the chance of Jimmy submitting him. I don't believe that Jimmy is going to knock out Rodolfo Bellato. I believe that Rodolfo Bellato has a higher chance of knocking out or submitting Jimmy, but there is a slight chance of Jimmy Crute actually submitting Rodolfo Bellato if Rodolfo Bellato is too reckless and he doesn't stick to the game plan, he doesn't listen to his coaches and just goes in, and so on. So, Rodolfo Bellato, most likely 90% chance to win via stoppage. Moving on, Justin Tafa versus Thaleson Teixeira, heavyweight, guys. That's a really interesting choice of a name for Thaleson. I guess his parents had some a vision of the future, because Thaleson Teixeira is really tall. He's 2 meters and 1 centimeter tall, or 6'7", versus Justin Tafa, who is 6'0", 183 centimeters. Not a lot to talk about here, guys. We have the new Mark Hunt versus Stefan Struve. Thaleson is like the UFC version of this guy that fought Ngannou in the PFL. Problema, Renan Ferreira. So Thaleson Teixeira is the UFC's version of Renan Ferreira. He has 6 wins and via KO and 1 win via submission. Then we have Justin Tafa, and guys, we know what Justin Tafa does. He goes in, tries to knock you out. If he doesn't, he might get knocked out or decision. But this is his case. It's heavyweight, guys. We can't expect them to have the highest ground level ground game and submission game and so on. Just middle of the pack heavyweights. My opinion is going to be a knockout, and I'm going to go with the newcomer Thaleson Teixeira. I just think that he is too tall for Justin Tafa. Unless Justin Tafa manages to land one of those overhand rights, he's going to lose this fight. Alright, guys, co-main event, women's strawweight championship fight, Weili Zhang versus Tatiana Suarez. And let's be honest here, guys. I want Weili Zhang to win. I don't like Tatiana Suarez. I just don't like her. She's not my favorite fighter. It's the female version of Khabib, but more boring. And if you're the female version of Khabib and you're more boring than him, you're not interesting to anyone. Yeah, I know she went through a lot. The cancer, the surgeries, then she had injuries. But guys, I don't want her to win, sorry. She fought like 4 times in 6 years. She's undefeated, which is amazing. Good job to you. But I don't want you to win. That being said, guys, Tatiana Suarez has the reach advantage. She is the bigger girl here. She has the wrestling advantage. It's going to be a tough fight for Weili Zhang. In my opinion, Weili is the better striker, and I believe it should be in most people's opinion. That should be most people's opinion. And she has really good grappling, to be honest. She trained with Henry Cejudo, Olympic gold medalist, 2 times champion of the UFC, amazing wrestler. So she has worked on this, guys. And I believe that she's going to be able to, maybe not in the first or second round, but from the third round onwards, she's going to be able to defend those takedowns easily. And because I believe that Tatiana Suarez is going to get tired, I don't think that she's going to have the cardio for this fight. And yeah, first couple of rounds are going to be tough for Weili Zhang. She needs to go in because she doesn't really have the reach to deal with Tatiana. She needs to mix it up, a lot of clinch work. She needs to be wary of the takedowns, sweeps and so on near the cage, because I believe that Tatiana is going to be the stronger fighter, physically stronger. But yeah, let's make a prediction here. It's going to go to a decision, and it's going to be, the first 2 rounds are going to go for Tatiana Suarez, and the last 3 rounds, championship rounds and third round, are going to go to Weili Zhang. When she gets going, when she sets the rhythm of the fight, she's going to be landing those kicks. Her striking is much better. She needs to land some combinations, and yeah, I'm going to go with Weili Zhang keeping her title via decision. And we are moving on to the most anticipated fight of the night, the main event, Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland 2. First fight, guys. Just like Joe Sonnen, right? First fight, guys. We had an amazing 5-rounder between those two. Sean was the defending champion, and Dricus managed to take the win in a fight that was actually really close and could have gone either way. In my opinion, the headbutt really messed with Sean's vision, and as I said, it could have gone either way. I don't think that it would have changed the outcome if the headbutt didn't happen. I believe it would have been an equal fight nonetheless. Was it a robbery? As I said, no, could have gone either way. So, let's talk about this. When it comes to the stats, both of them 6'1", I believe, 185 centimeters, and both of them have the same reach, so no advantages here for either of the guys. Physically speaking, I believe that Dricus du Plessis has a bit more muscle mass, and he's a bit more explosive compared to Sean Strickland. But let's talk about the fight, guys. What's interesting here is the thing here on Sean Strickland's arm. Is it staph infection? It could be. Did he get cut while, I don't know, riding the bike and smoking and drinking and shooting? Maybe this happened. But if it's a staph infection, it's bad, guys. It's not nice. Although it looks healed, so maybe he had staph and then it healed. If he's on antibiotics, it's not nice. He's going to sacrifice his cardio. So let's see, guys. Let's see what it is. But he got that mustache going, so maybe get a legendary fighter, Don Fry Strickland. Anyways, guys. The last couple of fights they both had one fight since fighting each other. Sean Strickland had a decision win against Paulo Costa, 9th in the division. I believe that Paulo Costa didn't deserve to fight with Sean Strickland back then, but doesn't really matter. Sean Strickland won the fight fairly easily, I would say, and we had Dricus defending his title against the former champion Adesanya via submission. And let's be honest, guys, that fight was really interesting, really close, and then he just decided to take Adesanya down and win the fight. And this is what Dricus does. He just fights, it's an equal fight, and then he's like, oh, F it, I'm gonna win, takes the guy down, beats him up, or knocks him out, and wins the fight. Out of their last 6 fights, the only fight that Dricus won via decision was the Sean Strickland fight, and it was his toughest fight. So, what does Sean Strickland do that's really good? Deep kicks and jabbing. And everyone knows it now, and everyone knows how to prepare for those things. In my opinion, if Dricus wants to win, he needs to mix things up and keep pressuring Sean Strickland, walking him down, and trying to get a lot of clinch work in the, like, near the cage. That's one way for him to win, and the other way is to just try to submit him. But we should not underestimate Sean Strickland's ground game. He's really, really good, guys. He's not using it, but he's actually impressive there. Trust me. And what about Sean Strickland, guys? He needs to mix things up. He also needs to try to get some takedowns, because in my opinion, the takedowns in the last fight is what gave Dricus the slight edge that he had in the judges' eyes. So, Sean Strickland needs to take Dricus at least once down. So, what else can Sean Strickland do, guys? Overhands. He had a bit of success with them, and what's interesting with Sean Strickland, guys, he always says fighting to the death, but then he just Philly shell and jabbing and so on. He needs to actually fight to the death with Dricus, the Dutchman. Here's the thing, you guys. Here's the thing. I sound like Belal. I don't sound like Sean Strickland, I sound like Belal. Oh, I actually remembered his name. Nice. So, in my opinion, Sean Strickland needs to go a little bit more, needs to be a little bit more aggressive this time around. Try to land some elbows if he can. Try to land some overhand rights. Just be a bit more reckless, because Dricus is just the definition of recklessness. If Dricus fails a takedown, he's going to try to kick you with a spinning back kick or something like this. He's going to come up with a solution for his failed combo. He's going to find a solution for his failed takedown. Meanwhile, Sean Strickland, he has just one thing in mind. That's it, guys. And he needs to mix it up. Is it going to be a close fight? If Sean Strickland doesn't have staph infection, it's going to be a really close fight. But if he doesn't have it, I mean. If he has it, it's going to be an easy win for Dricus. It's hard to make a prediction here, guys. But in my opinion, if Weili Zhang keeps her title, Sean Strickland is going to win. If Weili Zhang loses, Sean Strickland is going to lose. Yeah. That's always the way it goes, guys. If the co-main event is a title fight, if the champion loses, the main event champion defends, and so on. Alright, guys, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you wish, and I'll see you guys next time. Maybe I'll change the name next time. Maybe not. I'm too lazy. Anyways, guys, see ya.